on it, somebody's knocking at your door. Well, sister, here we are.
Father,
We're
here
back.
we are again.
Colin Vale.
Take two.
Two.
Episode 2.
Dos. Due. Du. Now we find ourselves knocking on the door of Lent.
Lent.
Yeah.
It is coming right
The
up.
season of Lent. So, what would you say, how would you kind of define Lent, or how would you explain Lent to somebody who is wondering, where did we get this, or, what is this all about?
Lent, like Advent, is a time of preparation, but a different kind of preparation. And yeah, like really entering into the desert with Jesus, and how is he asking you to make room in your life for him, and like to anticipate his death and resurrection, and wait and prepare for that in a different way than we prepare for his birth.
Yeah, I like to think of Lent as a journey. Okay, so we go on a journey, and we have to take some things with us along the journey. But in some ways, Lent being a spiritual journey has it's sort of it's like we're not equipping ourselves with things, but maybe in some ways we're detaching ourselves from things. Maybe we're carrying too much in the journey of life. And so I go on a journey, a spiritual journey in Lent, so as to learn to detach myself from certain things so that I can cling more wholeheartedly to Christ. So I think that, the three things that I think just come to mind very, just kind of tacitly when it comes to the idea of Lent is, the prayer and the fasting and the almsgiving. And these are sort of our tools, so to speak, that the church exhorts us to take with us as we go into the wilderness to spend time with Christ.
Yeah.
And it really is it's a spiritual journey. We think that, the Holy Spirit sent Jesus into the wilderness, in a sense. Like he went off into the wilderness and experienced this time alone and eventually temptation. And so there are clearly going to be temptations ahead as we try to adopt these different practices. So something that has been kind of inspirational for me has been just something as I've been reading in preparation for Lent has been one of the books down here. So we're going to have a little bit of a book share quick. So what's preparing me for Lent this time around is A Shepherd Speaks by our very own Bishop Emeritus Fabian Bruskowitz. Great book. Ignatius Press. Okay, this is serious, people. Ignatius Press published a book by Bishop Bruskowitz. Amazing. While he was the Bishop of Lincoln. So, the thing that I really loved was he talks about the liturgical year in this book. And he talks about the antidote to the 3 Ps. And there goes the holy card. The antidote to the 3 Ps. So he says that throughout our time in life, we are tempted by pleasures and power and possessions. And the 3 things that we take with us in the spiritual journey of Lent, fasting and prayer and almsgiving, correspond to those 3 Ps. I think that's just maybe like a simple way to enter into the Lenten experience, the Lenten journey, is to say, okay, in my life, there are pleasures, there's an amount of power, depending on where I'm at in life, and I have these possessions. And so what do I need to do to put these things in proper order and prepare for the cross and resurrection of Christ on the other side of the spiritual journey? And something that I thought was interesting was he says that in the youth of our life, we cling more to pleasures. Because we cling to pleasures in our youth, we have to learn a lot about fasting. And that's why I think, like for children, like the easiest thing we try to tell them in Lent, it's hard for them, but we teach them about fasting, about giving something up, right? But then in the middle age of life, kind of like in our middle life, whatever you want to call it, my midlife, what do we call midlife? Are you
saying we're middle-aged?
We're middle-aged now, aren't we? I think we're getting there. I think we're on the cusp. I feel like a child in many ways. But I'm youthful. People think I'm very young. But I don't know if people know that, but yes. And but in midlife, we start to gravitate more towards power. And so what we need to do is we need to learn how to pray. In our midlife, we need to learn how to pray. What does it mean to communicate with God? And in older life, Bishop Breskowitz says that we begin to cling to a lot of things. We want to have a lot of possessions. And so almsgiving, this giving of ourselves and financial support in charitable acts allows us to sort of live that death to self for the sake of another. So maybe that's also another thing. If you're really young, maybe it's focusing on the fasting. If you're in the midlife, like focusing on prayer. And if you're in older age, focusing on almsgiving and finding good practices in wherever you find yourself in life along the spiritual journey.